Hi guys, Darth Deuces here, back in our Star Wars figure review, and today taking a look at something pretty cool. Definitely an older figure, a figure that I've been hunting for quite a while, honestly. But one that I was finally able to get, and I was able to get for a extremely good deal. But today we're going to take a look at the old 3 3/4 inch Bastila Shan figure. I've been looking for this figure for a long time. I actually think I remember literally seeing the old original TVC figure on pegs way back when, and I didn't pick it up. I didn't buy it. Which, to be fair, I was a lot younger then with a lot less disposable income, so it was a lot harder to buy stuff then, anyways. But yeah, I didn't buy it. I was kind of kicking myself for that. And as you can see, she was actually eventually reissued in the 3 3/4 inch Black Series line, but I also never found this one in stores at all. But my local comic book store gets an influx of stuff traded in from people because you can trade in figures and toys and whatnot for credit. Someone traded this in and they had this figure up for $10 Canadian. I got this for $10 Canadian, and there wasn't even any tax on it because right now we have a tax break for the holidays. Obviously, the packaging is in terrible condition, but the figure is all there and looks in really good shape. Like, looks completely fine. So that is an absolute steal of a deal. It's got to be like what, $6-7 US for this, and on eBay it averages $70 plus Canadian. So I don't know what that is in US. Probably around like $50, but still a super good deal. So I had to pick it up. But yeah, just take a quick look at the packaging. Obviously, it looks pretty bad. Like the bubbles literally stapled on because that was a thing back then with the glue just was really bad and they'd fall off the card backs. Whether this was done by the person who owned it or the store, I don't know. But I do like the picture of her there in the corner, and it is the Canadian or international style card back because it has the different languages. It does have the image. I think this is the image they used for the TVC card back, and then you have your little write-up. But there's not much else to talk about. The packaging is in really bad shape when I'm opening this. But I'll get it open and we'll take a closer look. All right, now I got Bastila out of the crappy packaging that she was in. And yeah, cool figure. I'm really happy to finally have this in the collection. This is definitely a one that was quite a big hole. I think this is one of the few Knights of the Old Republic figures I'm missing. Like, there's not too many more. Like, there's a couple that like I probably will never own, like Exar Kun and Nula Keldroma. I don't have the HK50 figure, but aside from that, I think I pretty much have them all. Not that they made a ton, but so this is one step closer at least. But very iconic character from the expanded universe, so one I'm really happy to have in the 3 3/4 inch collection finally. But taking a look, I will say I do think she is brand new out of the packaging. Like, obviously the packaging was all beat up and everywhere, but I don't think she was like put back in the packaging. But here's the head sculpt, and I'll be honest, I've never been the biggest fan of this head sculpt. Now, I will say, in person, it looks a lot better, and maybe with the Black Series one, maybe they cleaned up the face paint a little bit. I don't know. I just don't know what it is. I think it might be the hair, like the way they did the hair. Like, she has her hair folded up in the front, and I don't know. I feel like maybe she's got a little too much forehead showing, maybe. Like, I think there's too much forehead going on. It feels like she's like balding, maybe, even though she has a full head of hair. I don't know. There's something about the hair sculpt, mainly in the front, I don't love. But the face paint, obviously this is long before face printing, but the paint itself for the eyes and the eyebrows and the lips is actually really clean. I don't know if I just got lucky, and this one is just that one that was done well, because the Black Series 3 1/4 inch was fairly notorious for not having the best paint ops, having a lot of quality control issues, but this one looks pretty good. And I will say I like the head sculpt better than I thought I was going to like it. I will still say I don't think it's the best. I think it's just like the front part of the hair. It just looks really weird. She's got like this one little wisp of hair on the forehead. It just makes it look like she's balding. Balding a bit. I don't know. But the rest of the sculpt of the hair is really nice. And she got the ponytail, and you got the paint and the sculpt detail for where it's tied up there. That looks really good. So, like, I don't know. There's good things about it. There's bad things about it. But it's not bad. Then the rest of her outfit's really nice because it's based on the actual like video game, how it appears in the game, not like the newer Black Series one. Although I will say the paint apps, mainly the brown paint apps, are fairly messy. It feels like there's a fair amount of spots where it looks like the yellow of her outfit's kind of bleeding through a bit. The brown doesn't match all the lines all the way on some spots, like right here. Not super noticeable, especially at distance, but is something worth mentioning that you could find. But I do like how it's kind of a lighter brown with dark brown wash. That does look good. You have the little shoulder pads there. The hands, the left hand is a normal grip hand. The right hand is also kind of a gripping hand, but it's also kind of a force gesturing pose, which is kind of cool. Then you've got the belt that's decently painted and sculpted with the pouches, and the buckles are painted and whatnot too. With this lower bit kind of having this leathery sort of sculpted texture, which I think looks nice. And then you've got these little parts of the lower, I don't know, outfit. These little spots are of a softer plastic and they're sculpted nicely. The legs are really basic. They're just yellow pants basically. And then you have the boots, which do have a nice little bit of like wash detail to them, try to make them look a bit more leathery. Although I will say the color of the upper part of the boot does not really match the dark brown of the actual lower part of the foot part of the boot. So that's a little weird looking. It's not super noticeable, but it is something worth mentioning. And you got some QC issues with like the yellow bleeding through there and through there as well. It's a bit annoying, but overall looks good. And I am happy to have a version of Bastila that is a lot more accurate to how she actually appeared in the game. And it is like, this is like a 14-year-old figure now, or 13 or 14. So, I'll cut some slack here and there. In terms of articulation, pretty good for the time. You do have a ball joint at the neck, hinges and the swivel at the shoulder. You can get the shoulder pad underneath the torso there, so it can go about that far. You can rotate. Single elbow hinge, which bends a full 90, not too bad. Swivel at the wrists, swivel at the waist, swivels at the hips, so they just go forward and back. Single hinges at the knees that don't quite go 90. They're also her legs are also kind of sculpted a little weird. Like they kind of curve and then go back forward. It's a little strange looking. And then you do have hinges at the ankles as well with the rotation. So no pivot because they never did pivot back then. But basically all of the standard good articulation for the time period. So I can't complain too much. In terms of accessories, not a ton, but you do get, of course, she has to have her lightsaber. And I think this is one of the few characters to have a yellow bladed lightsaber figure, like a figure to have a yellow bladed lightsaber. The only ones I can think of is Bastila and the 5 POA Jedi Temple Guard. There's good chance there's other figures that have had yellow blades, but those are the only two I can think of off the top of my head. So that does make her quite unique, but I really like this. The sculpt of the hilt's nice. The hilt is just painted silver, and then you have the yellow blades. The only thing I don't really like about this is back then, with all double blade lightsabers, like Darth Maul figures had this in droves, is they made the blades a little too short. They don't do it anymore, but I'm assuming so they could fit them in the packaging, I guess, especially when they have these large hilts. But it is a little annoying, I guess, that it's not too annoying, like it's not super noticeable, but the blades are a little too short. They're supposed to be normal length. But she can hold it. I am curious if she can actually hold it in the force gesturing hand. Yeah, she can. No problem. So that's pretty cool. And I assume you can probably get pretty decent two-handed pose with this articulation. I'm not going to go into too much effort to achieve this, but yeah, you can get her holding it in two hands. So that's nice. Just going to put that in her one hand for now. And then you also do get the unlit hilt, which is actually a bit of a shinier silver than the other lightsaber, which is kind of funny. There is a peg though, and there is a hole on the belt, so you can peg that on and it actually attaches nice and securely. It's not going to fall off or anything, so that's pretty cool. Ooh. So I guess next is for comparisons. She's a little bit of a pain because of the way the legs are sculpted. She's a little bit of a pain to pose or stand up, but you fiddle with it a little bit, it's not too bad. So I guess first off, with some figures that are kind of more in her era, Here she is with the OG 30th anniversary Darth Revan. I think they look really good together. And then here she is with Darth Malik, who looks decent with her, but Malik's undersized. He needs to be a fair bit taller. He's only slightly taller than her. He should be like probably a full head taller than her. I still really like this Darth Malik, but I would like to see them do a new one. Here she is with HK-47, who is the reissue, but I think he's exactly the same pretty much as the first figure that they did. But they look good together as well. A couple of the companions you can have in the game. And then, of course, the newer Darth Revans. Here is the new Darth Revan from last year, I think. Yeah, last year. And they look good together, although it's pretty obvious these are from two completely different eras of Star Wars figures. And then, oh, you'll have to excuse, I haven't touched this figure in a while. He's a little dusty, and it's really noticeable with white. But here he is with, or she is with the Jedi Revan. I think they look really good together. I'll probably display these two together on the shelf. And then lastly, with, to my knowledge, the only other articulated Bastila Shan figure that exists, here she is with the Black Series figure. So you can see they do actually look quite different. The 3 3/4 inch one definitely has the advantage of having a much more accurate to the original game look. But I would say the Black Series one takes it, and everything else, the articulation's way better, the lightsaber is better, the details are better, like just objectively. The head sculpt and face print is way better on the Black Series one. You know, I much prefer the head sculpt and face print on the Black Series. But I'm still really happy to own them both. You know, this one I've been wanting for years, so it's nice to finally have it, especially at the price I paid. You know, not to keep flaunting that, but you know, I didn't. There was things I didn't like with this figure where I didn't want to pay a lot for it. That's the thing. Like I would have owned it a lot sooner, but I was not willing to shell out the cash for it. But overall, it's a really cool figure. Definitely an iconic release from the history of 3 3/4 Star Wars figure collecting, if you want to say that, I guess. Would I recommend it? If you're a fan of Knights of the Old Republic, you like collecting Jedi figures, you don't have it yet, I would definitely recommend it for the right price. And the right price is going to depend person to person. If it's worth it more to you to spend more money on it just to have it, then by all means. For me, I got lucky, to be fair. To get it that cheap is a pretty, you know, happens every once in a while. But, you know, the likelihood of coming across that's not super high. So I don't know. I would have paid probably, this is in Canadian dollars, keep in mind, maybe 30 to 40 Canadian would be my upper limit for buying this figure. I don't think I could pay 50 bucks plus for this. And so I would kind of recommend that, but you know, ultimately it's up to you. But it is a really nice one that I'm finally happy to add to the collection. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know anything down in the comments below. I will say I hope they make a new one. This figure, articulation-wise, sculpt-wise, is dated, so I would like to see a new vintage collection one come out, but we'll see. Anyways, I'll see you all next one. May the Force be with you.